If you bought a new construction home in the last 10 years, there is a better than even chance your windows are already in the process of failing. You just cannot see it yet. And by the time you can, the fogged glass, the drafts, the soft framing around the sill, the warranty that was supposed to cover you has been expired for years. Here is the number that should make you furious. The warranty on most new construction windows covers materials and workmanship for 1 year. Some builders extend that to 10 years on the glass seal. Your mortgage runs 30 years. That 20-year gap in the middle is not a clerical error. It is the product design. There is a phrase on every spec sheet that gets handed to every volume builder in America. Builder grade. It sounds like a standard. It is not a standard. It has no certification body, no governing definition, and no minimum performance requirement beyond what is legally required to hand you the keys. It is an industry-normalized exit ramp. Today, we are pulling back the drywall, explaining exactly how the failure sequence works, and telling you what to buy instead. 30 years ago, most residential windows were installed by regional contractors who worked in the same market where they lived. If a window leaked, they got called back. That expectation of accountability produced a different standard of work. Then came consolidation. Starting in the late 1990s, private equity began acquiring regional window manufacturers at scale. Today, a handful of large production facilities supply the majority of the new construction market. These are not window craftsmen. They are extrusion plants running vinyl at the lowest unit cost that still clears the International Energy Conservation Code. The incentive is not durability. The incentive is price per opening on a builder's procurement spreadsheet. The result is a two-tier market that almost nobody explains at the point of sale. The same brand name, the same model number on the box, ships in two versions. One goes to retail, one goes to the builder. The retail unit has thicker vinyl chambers, fusion welded corners, and a full hardware package. The builder unit has mechanically fastened corners, thinner extrusions, and a glass package specified to minimum code compliance. They look identical from the street. They do not perform identically, and they do not last identically. Vinyl expands and contracts with temperature at a rate roughly 8 times greater than the glass it holds. That is not an opinion. It is the coefficient of thermal expansion. The thermal expansion rate of vinyl is significantly higher than standard window glass. A 10-foot vinyl window frame can shift by a 1/4 inch between winter and summer under a normal temperature swing. That movement is engineered for in a quality unit. In a builder-grade unit, where corners are mechanically fastened instead of fusion welded, that same movement works the joint open season after season until the seal between the two panes of glass is gone. When that seal goes, the inert gas fill, argon or krypton, escapes. Your double-pane window becomes a single-pane window with a permanent fog between the glass. The insulating performance drops immediately. The only fix is full glass unit replacement. Nobody mentions that at the walkthrough. Builder-grade windows are specified to meet the minimum U factor required by the energy code for the climate zone, typically 0.3 or below. What that number does not tell you is where the low E coating is placed on the glass, what thickness the glass is, or what spacer material sits between the panes. Those 3 variables control condensation resistance, solar heat gain, and long-term seal life. Volume builders choose the lowest cost glass package that passes the code inspection. You get a window that cleared a test. You do not get a window engineered for the 30-year performance your mortgage assumes. Quick question. If you own new construction from the last decade, have you noticed fogging between the panes or cold drafts near the frame in winter? Drop it in the comments. The data on when these actually start failing is worse than most people expect. This one causes more damage than the window itself. According to water damage forensics professionals, up to 80% of window-related water intrusion traces back to improper flashing or installation, not a defective window unit. Volume builders pay installation crews by the unit, not by the hour. Every minute spent on proper sill pan slope, correct flashing tape sequencing, and foam insulation around the rough opening is a minute that does not get paid. The result is sill pans left flat or absent, flashing tape applied over dirty or damp framing, nailing fins stapled through the weather-resistive barrier instead of lapped under it, and gaps around the rough opening left open for air and water. Water enters the wall cavity through the window to frame the junction. It saturates the OSB sheathing. Once OSB stays wet, the resin binding the wood fibers releases and the panel begins to delaminate. By the time you see moisture staining on your interior drywall, the structural sheathing behind it has typically been compromised for 1 to 2 years. Water damage. Remediation at that stage, structural drying, sheathing replacement, mold testing, and drywall repair runs between $8,000 to $20,000 per wall section, depending on the extent of penetration. You assumed that when structural water damage showed up 18 months after closing, you could take the builder to court. You signed that right away. Buried in the purchase contract you initiated is mandatory binding arbitration. No jury, no public record, no appeal. A private conference, a decision maker from the builder's approved panel, and a resolution process that was designed by the party that owes you money and funded entirely by you. The Federal Trade Commission has published consumer guidance on exactly this mechanism in new home warranties. It is standard practice across the volume builder industry. Here is the honest hierarchy, ranked from best to acceptable. Fiberglass has a thermal expansion rate that is nearly identical to glass. That is the exact property that determines long-term seal integrity. When the frame and the glass expand and contract at the same rate, the joint between them stays closed. That is why fiberglass windows carry documented service lives of 30 to 50 years versus 10 to 15 for builder-grade vinyl. Brands like Marvin and Integrity build in the fiberglass category with multi-chamber profiles and full fusion welding at the corners. They cost roughly 30 to 50% more than a builder-grade vinyl unit. They also do not develop the corner joint failures and seal loss that vinyl accumulates over a decade of thermal cycling. Not all vinyl windows are builder grade. A quality vinyl unit uses fusion welded corners, where the extrusion is literally melted together at the joint, rather than mechanically fastened hardware. The difference is structural. A fusion welded corner does not work itself open under thermal expansion. Premium vinyl windows also carry longer warranties. Look for 10 years minimum on the full unit, not just the glass. The warranty length is the single fastest diagnostic for quality. If a manufacturer offers 1 year of workmanship, they are telling you exactly what they expect the product to do. The best performing windows in the residential market are not necessarily the most expensive. They are the ones built by manufacturers who expect to be called back. A regional window and door company with a local reputation has skin in the game that a national production facility does not. Ask for references from buyers who are 5 to 7 years past their installation date. That is the real performance record, not the spec sheet. Wood core windows clad in aluminum or fiberglass on the exterior give you dimensional stability from the wood, weather resistance from the cladding, and a service life that routinely exceeds 3 decades when properly installed. If you are buying new construction right now, you have one window of leverage, and it closes permanently the day drywall goes up. A pre-drywall inspection by an independent building envelope specialist, not the builder's inspector, not the county inspector. You hire them. You pay them. They work for you. You are looking for 4 things: whether the sill pan was installed and sloped correctly for drainage, whether the flashing tape was applied in the right sequence over the weather-resistive barrier, whether the rough opening gaps were foamed and sealed, and whether the nailing fin integration is correct. These are the exact failure origins that show up years later as structural rot and mold claims. A pre-drywall inspection runs between $400 and $600. It is the only point in the entire construction process where those details are visible before they get buried. If you already own a new construction home, run this test on a cold, dry day. Hold a lit incense stick or a smoke pencil within an inch of the interior perimeter of each window frame. Moving smoke means air infiltration. Air infiltration through the frame joint means the installation failed. Document it in writing immediately and submit a formal warranty claim before the 1-year workmanship window expires. Builders count on buyers not doing this. The claim you file in year 1 is the claim you can enforce. The problem you discover in year 3 is yours alone. Builder grade does not mean built to a standard. It means built to the minimum that allows a legal transfer of title. The glass looks identical from the street. What fails is what was never engineered to last. Subscribe. Next, I am covering why the insulation installed behind that same drywall is also being specified to the legal minimum, and how that single decision compounds every energy bill you will ever pay in that house.